Hello and welcome to this week's Checkered Flag. As ever, we've got plenty of racing stars and their cars. Coming up, we have the Rally of Wirral in Liverpool, which is the first round of the new British Formula Rally Series, which up to now has been delayed by the foot and mouth disease. This tarmac rally promises close, competitive action with some of rally's rising stars, hoping to follow in the footsteps of Colin McRae and Richard Burns. So here's Steve Slater, as ever, trying to keep abreast of all the action.
The city of Liverpool isn't the immediate choice of location for a special stage rally, but with the forest and country tracks of Great Britain still out of bounds as a result of foot and mouth disease, the sport's found an enthusiastic new home beside the Mersey on the promenade at New Brighton. As well as a new location, the rapid fit Rally of Wirral marks another new era for British rallying. The Formula Rally Championship brings together the top young chargers at the wheels of 1600cc hot hatchbacks and coupes, designed within a formula that ensures a closely matched performance and puts the emphasis on driving skill. Formula Rally is designed to give the World Championship stars of tomorrow the final finishing school before they graduate to the World Championship Premier League.
As the name suggests, it's Formula Rally. The Super 1600 has been designed by the FIA, the international governing body, to produce equivalent cars, effectively the Formula 3 of rallying. And the formula is based on power restriction and weight. The car must weigh 950 kilograms without the crew and 1100 kilograms with the crew all up. There's controls on the gearbox, and the main thing is the breathing control. And I'm particularly keen to make sure that it's got the correctly homologated inlet track, because that's a vital part of the formula. Everyone's breathing through the same size hole, and then all the cars weigh the same as you would for a Formula 3 race car on the track. And the other important thing that's new to Formula Rally is that only 4 mechanics are allowed to work on the car. So unlike a team of people descending again to control the costs, only 4 mechanics will be allowed to work on these cars. So yeah, we'll be watching them right the way through.
The new formula is endorsed by the top manufacturers. Joining Proton, Peugeot and Volkswagen, the blue oval of Ford's carried by a pair of Pumas, built at the legendary Boreham facility in Essex, the home of a string of past rally champions. Perhaps the most popular model in the series is the Peugeot 106. No less than 31 of those cars line up, but there's plenty of variety to catch the eye, as well as some big-name personalities at rally scrutineering and the start on Friday evening. The first car off the ramp was the Puma of Martin Rowe, but around the corner, chief rival Neil Simpson was unveiling his secret weapon, and he wasn't too concerned the season started late.
Yeah, you're not joking. In the beginning, the first round of this Formula Rally Championship was due to be the Rally of Wales, and our new Polo Super 1600 GTI has just been launched. So these 2 months have really played into our hands in terms of we've been able to develop the car far further, and we're hitting the ground a little bit more running now than we would have been in the beginning.
So is it good to be back at Volkswagen?
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I've had a couple of good years with Volkswagen in the past. I've drove a Golf TDI for them for 2 years and helped them to win the British Rally Championship in 1997 in the Golf kit car. It's a great team. There's a couple of new faces in the team for this year, and I'm very, very happy with it, and I think, you know, we'll have a good year.
In the Ford camp, the French Championship veteran Patrick Mago could be a dark horse, but all eyes will be on the Manxman Martin Rowe. When he won the 1998 British Championship with a 2-litre Renault Megane, spectacular action was guaranteed.
Obviously very excited. It's, like you say, it's been a very long time for me. I didn't have a drive last year, so the last time I drove competitively was July. It was good to get into the car and get out. I'd be more confident going into the forest with this car, but I mean, we're very short stages up here on the Wirral, and I think it's the driver who's going to keep out of trouble, drive neat and tidy, and you know, just get around without hitting any curbs who's going to be the winner.
The reigning 1600cc British champion is Sweden's Mats Andersson, who with Berkshire's Claire Mole as co-driver now joins Formula Rally with their title-winning Proton team. Surely they'd be aiming for a win this weekend.
Maybe not this event. Of course we want to win them all, and it's going to be hard. It's a long time since I've been in a rally car, so but it's still going to be a good battle, I think.
With driving style all important, what's Matt's secret for success?
Nice and tidy, no mistakes, because I don't think you can gain much time, but you can lose a lot.
There was little to match the pace of Justin Dale and Andrew Bargery on the asphalt last year, but retirements cost them the title. That might change this year.
The Peugeot has been designed for tarmac initially. We've got it really working well on the loose as well now, which has been good for the team. But no, to start the year with a tarmac rally is going to be a good judge against the other cars, which are actually newer specification than our one at the moment.
Perfect weather and a great event in prospect. 10 short, sharp special stages and a rapidly growing crowd. The narrow roads of New Brighton pose some special challenges, with roundabouts, tight chicanes, as well as those roadside curbs that can wreck the suspension of the unwary. And after the lengthy delays, the first top-class rally of 2001 in the UK was go. Neil Simpson and Mike Gibson setting the initial pace in the debut run for the Volkswagen Polo.
Way left to the island, you turn it right, and then 30 to Firth and left. Right 6 round island, 30 to Firth and left round island. And 30 to right 6 round island. Look, this is a fast entry, stay right at the island, and then right 6 round island.
The all-new car was looking and sounding good, but perhaps its driver was a little rusty.
Go ahead, go.
While Simpson would rue that mistake, further up the stage the problems were more serious. Listen to the change in exhaust note. The Polo's debut run was set to be short-lived. Back in the service area, Simpson was facing an early bath. The previously mint Polo had developed a hole.
At the end of the first lap, the engine went down on power and then went on to 3 cylinders, so we had to complete the rest of the stage with only 3 cylinders in the car, so we lost quite a lot of time in there, so the engine problem looks fairly terminal now, and I don't know what they're going to be able to do, but we'll just have to see.
With Germany eliminated, it was now France versus England amongst the car makers, with the Peugeot of Dale and Bargery setting the fastest time on the opening stage, perhaps responding to the temperatures which seemed more like the Riviera than the Mersey.
Keep right. It's square right. Keep right at the square left.
Certainly there was no doubting Dale's commitment or inch-perfect accuracy. But he knew that he faced a day-long battle with Rowe in the Ford, and his mechanics were already hard at work in the service area when we caught up with him.
There's 2 stages we've just done. The car seems to be dropping down on power a little bit, so the guys are just taking the exhaust off to make sure the cat's not blocked, and if it is, they put a new one on. The tyres are having a bit of a hard time. We've got a hard compound tyre on there, but well, harder than what we ran first thing this morning, and that seems to be a lot better, so we're going to stick with them.
Now Rowe was the man with a mission, and the Puma was on the limit and beyond in his bid to beat the Peugeot.
Next thing is open hairpin right. Open hairpin right. And then keep right the chicane.
Co-driver Chris Wood back alongside Rowe after a 4-year break, the perfect foil to the determination which made short work of one of the chicanes. Scattering the oil drums, shortcut or not, Rowe was still 2.2 seconds behind Dale after the opening 2 stages. But back in the service area, Rowe reckoned there was more to come from the Ford, if not from his first set of tyres.
I think we took too soft a tyre, and we paid for that. You know, it's only a very short stage, so slightly wrong choice. You know, we dropped 3 seconds to Justin, so well, actually, it's a really long stage. We'll pull back 3 seconds by the end of the day. No, I mean, we've just got to obviously take a different tyre. The temperature's rising now. In these conditions, you know, you've got to look at the ground temperature and all that sort of thing. And maybe running first on the road, because we're using roundabouts the wrong way and that sort of thing. There's a lot of gravel so maybe I was cleaning the road a little bit.
As Rowe prepared to start his attack in earnest, his teammate Patrick Mago was pushing equally hard. Co-driven by his wife Guylaine, the former French championship runner-up's more used to the twists and turns of the Alps or Corsica, but he was rapidly learning that on this event you need to make the time up in the chicanes.
I think for me the time is on the... You make a good time on the chicane. You have 4 times post chicane, and I think the time it's only on the chicane.
Meanwhile, Matt Sanderson's Proton was 6th after suffering a slightly different problem on its run through the chicanes.
Chicane, keep left and split right. Split right. Right 1. I keep right.
On the second run through the course, Anderson was catching fellow Proton driver John Meadows, and the reigning BTRDA champion's ears must have been burning as a result.
I keep left, right 1. I keep right and left. Come on, Meadows, move your ass. Get him up here, Mats. Go, go, go. Nice one.
A graphic demonstration of the difference between even a leading privateer and one of the work's back top guns in this year's Formula Rally. But Anderson too was a driver with some problems to come. There was frantic work in the service area, with the 4 allocated mechanics having all 8 arms in the engine bay at once. That was not normal servicing.
Yes, it's only running on 2 cylinders, and basically just come here, no idea what the problem is. So we'll see if I can fix it, or it's a bit serious when the engine just runs on 2 cylinders.
In the meantime, for other competitors, there was plenty to keep the temperatures sky high on the Rapid Fit Rally of Wirral.
Coming up after the break is the conclusion of the Super 1600 class and the supporting cast of the Ford KA, Volkswagen Polo and Ford Puma one-make series.
Sport on Board, sponsored by Stepstone Online Recruitment. The hair that's bound to get you noticed. Wella Vivality, the new hair care range that strengthens and vitalizes your hair.
Vivality, beautiful hair full of life.
From the Polo collection, the very latest in tongue wear. Steady on, girls. Strawberries and cream smoothies. Whole couture. From Polo. Pour homme, pour femme, pour le gob.
Sport on Board, sponsored by Stepstone Online Recruitment.
Welcome back to part 2. Time now to head back to the Wirral for the closing stages of the Super 1600 class and to Steve Slater.
For spectators at least, the new Brighton Promenade was proving the ideal location for the opening round of the Formula Rally Championship. For drivers and machinery though, it was proving a tougher test than it first appeared. The Welsh duo of Jeff and Gethin Jones were amongst those suffering similar misfortunes in their similar Vauxhall coursers. Jeff, co-driven by Ionoki, was out at the end of the first stage with fuel pump problems. And his namesake Gethin wasn't destined to see the rally finish either in the 26 car. The fireworks from the exhaust were the result of a faulty ignition sensor, which will put the bridge end man out of the event. AA patrolman Andy Burnell should have hung around to assist his fellow Skoda driver Krista Steen. The Swede was set to pay heavily for his impatience after catching the Devonshire driver on the stage. The impact with the new Brighton curbs was sufficient to tear the rear suspension completely off the Skoda, but Steen was still determined to reach the stage finish, whatever it took. The Swede wasn't the only victim of the curbs. Ford Puma driver Neil Edwards' pursuit of David Larkham was also set to end prematurely. Another heavy impact, more heavy damage. And with both the steering and the drive shaft smashed, there was no way that the engineer from Paynton could limp out of the stage. Plenty of marshals on the scene, and plenty needed. Not even the combined muscle power and a well-aimed boot could get this Ford to the end of the stage. But while Neil Edwards pondered what might have been a high-scoring finish in the 1400 Ford, Christer Steen had acquired a marshal as ballast and got his Skoda back to the service area. Now it was a question of whether Steen and co-driver Håkan Jakobsen could get their battered car back on the road. Sadly, while the front end was battered but unbowed, the wrecked rear suspension was too far gone to be repairable. It was game over for the popular Swedes. Current leader Martin Rowe was in relaxed form with an 8-second lead over Dale's Peugeot, but the real surprise was Ulsterman Robert Woodside.
We came here knowing what we wanted to do. There's no reason why we can't win the event. So, you know, every stage we want to be quickest, but obviously that's not possible generally. We'll just keep racing Martin and try and get a few quicker stage times in this afternoon. We've no help from the boys across the service area here, but they are looking over with interest today. Somebody asked me earlier, was I getting bored driving around the promenade? But there's so much action. You know, there's a corner every 100 yards or so, and it's entertaining.
Sadly, though, stage 7 of the 10 proved a little too entertaining from the man from Ballyclare. In his pavement-hopping attempts to close in on Rowe and the second-place Peugeot of Dale, this time Woodside went one curb too far. At first, it looked like a narrow escape, missing that lamppost by inches, but the curb had wrecked a drive shaft and any hopes of a top 3 finish. It was now a straight fight, Peugeot versus Ford for the top 4 places. Martin Sansom and co-driver Phil Wells last year won the Peugeot 106 Cup, and as a result graduated to the Works team. Now they were proving that their apprenticeship had paid off with a spectacular drive to 4th place on their team debut. Just 9 seconds ahead, Frenchman Patrick Mago was upholding Ford honours with a strong performance on his first experience of British rallying. The Puma was heading for 3rd place, but it was the other Puma versus Peugeot battle that was grabbing the attention. The battle for the lead. Justin Dale and Andrew Bardry started the 10th and final stage 15.6 seconds behind Rowe. But we were finding that this configuration had shorter straights, which better suited the Peugeot.
Left round triangle. And keep left. Keep left. Into fast left 6, tightens.
The result was a storming run, almost a second quicker than all comers. The question was, would it push Rowe into a mistake? It certainly seemed cool and collected in the service area, but only time would tell. As the pressure mounted for Rowe, another former British champion was in more relaxed form. The 1996 title holder Gwyneth Evans is expected to be back on the stages soon with the all-new MG ZR, but today it was time to wind up his old rival. Now, no distractions. This was the crucial stage for Rowe, Wood and for Ford. 2 final laps of the promenade with its 5 mini roundabouts stood between the Puma and the first Formula Rally victory. You could sense the tension in the coupe.
Left 250. Tightens to long left 6 late at signpost. Care narrows with cones. Left 7 late. Keep right for chicane.
As well as the cones, watch out for Neil Collins' Proton, another source of potential delay.
Keep left for chicane. He says he's going to keep wide. He's going to let you out.
Indicator on, a sporting gesture by Collins on his way to 8th meant a clear run for Rowe, and that meant victory in style.
Right 8-5, sorry, tightens to an 8 and left 10 around Island.
and right 130. Keep right at the split. Left 2 over flying finish.
Enough then?
That's plenty enough. 407.4 is 2 seconds faster than the first run. Well done.
Well done. Good to have you back.
A final flourish for the winners of the opening Formula Rally round, with Martin Rowe and Chris Wood ahead of Justin Dale and Andrew Bargery, Patrick Mago third, Martin Sanderson fourth, Simon Major fifth, the top privateer ahead of the Swede Mats Anderson.
Yeah, we've had a really good day. It's been a long time waiting for the championship to start. I've been out of competition for a long time, so to come back with a Puma and get a win first time out is really good, really rewarding.
Not just a first victory, but maximum points too in the Drivers' Championship. 10 points against Justin Dale's 6, with Mago, Sansom, Major and Anderson, the top 6. Yes.
Nobody knew how all the cars were going to go. So it's good to actually get some points in the bag straight away, really. And okay, we were battling with Martin all day, and he's got there in the end with a good showing with their car. So we're pretty pleased with that.
And watch that front spoiler. Dramas even at the finishing ramp meant that the action continued to the very end of the rapid fit Rally of Wirral. Proof, if it were ever needed, Formula Rally is most definitely on the map. And with Ford leading Peugeot 10 points to 6 into the next round at Silverstone, it's going to be fun. Foot and mouth or not, it's set to be a great season of rallying action. And the first to taste the champagne in 2001 is Martin Rowe. In addition to the Formula Rally competitors, no less than 4 one-make series were also contesting the Rapid Fit Rally of Wirral. The Volkswagen Polo Challenge attracted a dozen of the equally matched 1400cc cars, with crews competing to win a brand new £14,000 Polo GTI at the end of the season. Rookie crews included the 81 car of London-based Greek George Philippides, who set 3 fastest stage times in his class on the way to 4th in his first ever event. Definitely a driver to watch for the future. In car 42, Dumfries jeweller Neil Cowan and civil engineer Mark Simpson were 4th in last year's Polo Challenge. They were set to go one better with 3rd here, and were only just pipped to the post for 2nd place by a mere 6 seconds. And that place went to Clive Wheeler and Ken Bartram, veteran one-make class winners with the Lada Challenge in 1984 and Peugeot Cup in 1989. Their 2nd place marks a return to rallying after an 8-year break. But victory went to last year's championship runners-up. 23-year-old Lancastrian David Bateson had recruited the Northern Ireland champion co-driver Guy Carlisle and built this new car for the 2001 season. Bateson was picking up where he left off with 3 successive wins at the end of last year. And he was also proving that while the Polos lose out to the 1600cc Peugeots on power, they win on agility. And with 7 of the 8 Polo Cup rounds being fought in the Formula Rally Series, we can expect to see a lot more of Bateson and Carlisle in the future. But now with 4 wins in a row, David Bateson is definitely the man to beat. Also 1400cc powered, the Ferodo Ford Puma Championship offers the winning crews the incentive of taking over a works-prepared Super 1600 car, as well as personal coaching from no less than Colin McRae for the 2002 season. Not surprisingly, the competition's hot. Mark Wheeler from Westwood in the Scottish Borders is the son of the former winner of the Jim Clark Rally, Richard, and is already a former Colin McRae Scholarship winner. He was heading for 3rd in class. Meanwhile, Guy Wilkes was the top junior driver in the Ford KA Championship last year. He's now graduated to the Pumas with co-driver Clive Jennings and was revelling in the tight turns and chicanes on the New Brighton Promenade. It was a performance that would net him 2nd in class and the £1,000 cheque for runner-up. But despite his best efforts, there was no matching the pace of his former KA rival, David Henderson. Henderson, co-driven by Ian Windress, was runner-up in the baby Ford last year. Now he's in the Puma, and he led the class from start to finish to claim the £1,500 first prize, and was only just outside the overall top 10. The ever-popular Autosport KA Championship was as close fought as ever. Former Formula 1400 front-runner Jack Ingleby had swapped his Nova for a KA and was immediately on the pace, co-driven by his sister Grania. The duo made the long trek from Aberdeenshire worthwhile by taking 3rd place just ahead of the Bridgend teenager Leon Pasticcio in car 52, co-driven by Howard Davies. And yes, that's the Howard Davies, who normally sits alongside Gwyneth Evans. There were thrills right down to the final stage of the KA class. Darren Snape and Anthony Adams on the limit drive netted them a spectacular second place, snatching it from the Ingleby's with just 2 stages to go. But even early in the event, there'd been dramas. In the number 51 car, the 1999 championship runner-up Davies Larkham had high hopes of returning from his year-long layoff with a win with the Eclipse Motorsport prepared car. It was looking good too in the early stages with a series of quick times, allowing Larkham and co-driver Mark Jones to take the class lead on stage 5. But their luck was to run out when the KA's head gasket blew under the pressure. Despite frantic work in the service area, it was game over by lunchtime for the Pontypool driver. It was certainly proving a hectic day for Ian Faulkner and Richard Swatton in number 53. As well as losing a precious few seconds with this spin, Faulkner also had to overcome a series of niggling teething problems with his newly prepared car, as well as Ingleby, Snape and Larkham challenging for the lead. They also had to fight off the flying Anthony Davidson until he was sidelined with broken suspension. But at the finish, it was Faulkner's spectacular style that won through to victory, claiming the £1,000 class winner's prize.
Coming up in part 3, we have action from the Peugeot 106 Cup for those budding McRaes and Burns, and also where you can find some racing action this coming weekend.
Sport on Board, sponsored by Stepstone Online Recruitment.
Easy Vision all-day monthly disposable contact lenses from Specsavers are designed to be the world's most comfortable lenses, so your eyes stay fresh. Call in and try them for 30 days free.
You lot today, it's all work, work, work. You don't have time for lunch, time for hobbies, time for your friends.
You're not happy in your job. And you don't even have time to find a new one.
WorkThing saves you time. Tell us exactly what you want and go straight to jobs that are right for you. It's a job thing, a skills thing, an advice thing. It's a work thing.
Interesting fruit, the lime. Did you know that British sailors used to take them to sea to stop themselves from getting scurvy? That's why Americans call us limeys.
Sorry, what were we saying?
I'm not. That's tough.
Sport on Board, sponsored by Stepstone Online Recruitment.
Welcome back to part 3. Without further ado, let's rejoin Steve Slater for action from the Peugeot 106 Cup.
Such is the success of the Super 106 Cup that almost a third of the entry was made up of drivers no doubt keen to follow in the wheel tracks of former Peugeot graduates Richard Burns and Colin McRae. Oxfordshire's Dave Nutt was an early front runner with a series of top 4 stage times on the opening stages in his Vision Motorsport prepared car. It was certainly a case of throwing down the gauntlet for the rest of the 10 stages ahead. Nutt was trading not seconds but tenths of seconds with brothers Gary and Peter Jennings, the Northern Irish duo making their series debut. Now, the usual wisdom is that breaking a mirror is 7 years bad luck, but check out the taped-in windows and missing mirrors. As we'll see from a replay, Gary had decided to wipe out co-driver Peter's mirror and side window in one go.
That's flat. Right.
And if that wasn't enough air conditioning, Gary reckoned the next chicane was flat out too. Well, Chris Moore was obviously another driver who thought the chicanes were flat out. The Newcastle on Tyne driver's car now also lacking mirrors and glass. But he too was right in the middle of a 6-way battle for the lead. Moore, the former safety devices asphalt rally champion, had used his experience to set the fastest time on the opening stage of the event, but then dropped back into the pack after losing 7 seconds on stage 2. Now he was in fight-back mode. A perfect demonstration of maximum rate braking was perhaps one of the reasons why Rory Gallagher broke the 4-minute barrier on stage 2, 4th fastest overall on the rally, putting him into the class lead. But there could have been another reason. Gallagher was still coming to terms with new co-driver David Jones.
Come on, David, keep right the thing. And 90, hairpin left and hairpin right.
The experienced Jones wasn't alone in struggling to interpret the rally of 1,000 bollards, but the man from County Meath is a hard taskmaster.
Oh, and left. Jesus, and round the roundabout.
With temperatures inside the Peugeot soaring, Gallagher was another who found the new way of cooling off.
Right, left, right. All right. By the roundabout. Chicane, left entry. Left entry. Left, right, left.
Inch perfect this time, but Gallagher wasn't going to be the fastest Peugeot on the stage. He was facing opposition from a new kid on the block. 21-year-old Chris Meek was on just his 3rd ever rally in his Super 106 debut, yet he was fastest on the 3rd stage and challenging the seasoned veterans for the class lead. And equally impressively, no dents. Co-driven by Glenn Patterson, he wasn't putting a wheel out of place, even when the stage better resembled a racetrack.
That's it, get a brake, come on.
In hot pursuit of the man from Dungannon was Whitby's Ryan Champion. The former Formula 2 and Group N driver was right on the pace in his Super 106, with his ultra-late braking actually lifting both rear wheels off the ground. And Wheelie King Champion was just as hard on the power out of the corners too. This was a performance that proved the Peugeots are the ultimate level playing field for driving skill, and Champion was on his way into the top 3. If you ever drop into the Cove Bar in Ballyronan, County Durry, you'll find landlord Seamus Donnelly more than willing to talk about rallying, particularly after this run through the early stages. Just on the edge of the top 3, he was later to lose a little time with a slipping clutch and catching some slower moving traffic. Despite being another to sacrifice his windows and mirrors to the chicanes, Paul Alexander and co-driver Mike Paines would be more than happy with their day. A string of consistently fast times was adding up to a top 5 finish. With many of last year's front-runners graduating to the Formula Rally Championship, last year's 4th place man Mike Faulkner started the Rally of Wirral as one of the class favourites. But with limited modifications designed to keep costs down and stress on driving skill, there's no way he can keep ahead of a full work spec kit car. Poor Mike was now going almost cross-eyed, with the bollards ahead and the Citroën Saxo works machine behind.
Keep right for square left, round triangle. Keep right for square left, round triangle.
With Max McKillen now safely by, it was time to concentrate on the stage time. The sawmill supervisor from Botegarten in Scotland was finding the cutting edge of tyre adhesion as he headed for 12th place. Faulkner, who'd not sat in a rally car since February, reckoned that in the meantime the trees had disappeared to be replaced by keep left bollards.
Turn right into it. Junction, keep left.
Twin brothers Daniel and Clive Dunbabin won the Skoda Championship in 1999, then ran a Honda in the British Rally Championship last year. They're another of the new recruits to the Super 106 Cup for 2001. And they were also impressively quick right from the start. 25-year-olds from Warrington running in the top 10. Daniel knows that result could have been even better.
First stage was good, pretty clean run really.
putting us 5th in the Peugeots after stage 1, 2 seconds behind Rory, which was good because I said I wanted to be in the top 5. And stage 2 we got held up, as you say, by the traffic. Firstly by a KA and then by a Polo. So that unfortunately now has dropped me a few seconds back, put me back to 9th place after stage 2. But hopefully we can press on now on this stage and pull a little bit back.
Meanwhile, others were using more sticky tape than Blue Peter.
First stage there, as what happened on the first stage last year in the Agbo Rally. There's 2 chicanes sort of on a back straight there, and it was on the 2nd lap of the first stage, and the brakes were just heating up by that stage, and I just couldn't slow it down in time, so I just aimed it for the gap between the barrels, and the mirror shoots back in and breaks the window. So then the other wing mirror has been broken off as well, so, but it gained us a second or two, I think, by straight line on the chicane. But second run then we tried a wee bit harder. It's hard to get a balance there if if you miss a gear ever so slightly or down time, it's hard on the car. But we bounced it across a good few of the curbs now, and we got a good bit of a time out of the other guys. So it's if we can just hold on and go steady from here on out and try and get a better rhythm. Going into the 3rd stage now, we just have to hope for the best.
In 3rd place, Ryan Champion had a dispute with the timekeepers.
We're a bit unsure. I mean, we didn't push too hard on the first stage. There's some big curves around here, and having done it before on the Rally of Wales, it was a conscious effort not to make a mistake on the first stage. But we actually had a time on, or Cliff had on his watch, a time about 10 seconds faster than we're actually given. But whether that stands or not, I don't know. If not, then it means we actually dropped about 7 seconds on the first stage. The second stage, we went 15 seconds faster than the time we were given on the first stage, which, you shouldn't really go 15 seconds faster, so it would really point to the fact that the first stage time was maybe incorrect, but we'll see anyway. But there wasn't a lot left that second go. Both door mirrors are smashed, and that was about as fast as we can go now.
Well, you've heard of on the boardwalk, but what about these promenade stages? Are they a cakewalk?
Well, it's definitely harder, but it's so hard on the car generally because you're accelerating up to like 4th, 5th gear, braking into 1st gear, back to 2nd, back to 1st, back to 2nd, then accelerating, braking. It's just so hard on everything, the tyres, the transmissions, engine, everything, it's really getting a hard work into there.
Some of the barrels or whatever that are marking the chicane have been moved a bit. It often gives a faster line through the chicane, and you've got to spot it before you start to brake if there's a faster line through. There was on that one, someone had planted one of them, so you could carry an extra gear through the corner basically. Yeah.
I think it's getting quicker. Obviously, there's a bit of dust and gravel on the road. As more cars go over it gets cleaned off. Plus, there's rubber being laid down. So now there'll be more grip towards the end of the day, but we have another different course to learn this time. So now we'll see what we can do.
Another driver who'd been playing skittles with the oil drums was Richard Sykes. That was the least of his worries. Electrical problems, misfires and slow traffic meant that it was stage 5 before he got a clean run. At one time, the company director from Stourbridge in the West Midlands was down in 20th place, which meant his recovery to the top 10 was a pretty impressive achievement. Michael Bruin, girlfriend Rishi Christian, last year moved from their native Isle of Man to Lincolnshire in order to be closer to the rally stages. Ironically, Merseyside's probably closer to their old home, and they haven't rallied anywhere else yet this year. But they were blowing the dust off their Peugeot in fine style. Even despite being blocked by slower cars on the heavily used stages, they were heading for 7th in class. And equally important, still with their mirrors. Adrian McIlvaney had the car's sponsor, Kane Curley, in the co-driver's seat of his 106. Now there's a brave man. The duo had initial problems with sticky gear selectors, but once that was cured, they were flying. They worked their way back up the order to snatch 6th place by just 1.5 seconds at the end of the day.
Not too sure where the line is to at the moment.
With all the cars crammed into 10 special stages, there sometimes seemed to be more overtaking in Formula Rally than in current Formula 1. And each stage was split in 2 loops with split-off points, which meant confusion for some. Sean Gallagher was having some navigation problems on his second run through the course, and despite some vigorous hand signalling by co-driver Kieran Coyle, he was set to improvise on the rally route once again. And Sean wasn't the only one. Don't ever suggest that Trevor Martin gate crashes your party. Contrasts in style, showroom perfect for Justin Lawson and Paul Hargreaves. Battered but unbowed for Trevor Martin and Ray Cleghorn. But they were both still in the event. At the head of the order, though, the sensation was proving to be the young Chris Meek. The 21-year-old from Dungannon's the son of Sidney Meek, one of the province's most fabled car rally engineers. And with a hereditary dose of super unleaded in his veins, Chris was proving almost unstoppable, with fastest times on stages 3, 4, 5 and 6 to dominate the class. In pursuit, there was now a sense of grim determination in Rory Gallagher and David Jones's car, but at least the chemistry between Irish driver and Welsh co-driver was now working.
Keep 3 right minus. Keep left for 90 left. Keep left for 90 left. Speed straight over 90 left. Down the bottom, keep right for 90 left. Keep right for 90 left.
Gallagher, a professional rally instructor and the 1998 Irish National Driver of the Year, was going to need all his skill to handle this challenge.
Yes, as I say, we started pretty well and got a bit of a lead, which is always a help for us. But I've been feeling sort of a little bit unwell the whole morning and all last night there and that. But as I say, it's the same the whole way through. We're just trying to get through without making too much mistakes, get into a good rhythm. They're changing the stages twice, you know, or every 2 runs. They're changing the stages, and it takes a little bit just to find exactly where you were going, because you can remember it going one direction, but you can't just remember what way it went when they've changed it around. But I must say they're making the best of what they have. So. It's enjoyable enough, and the weather is great, so can't complain.
So, is there any opportunity to relax on these rally stages?
I don't think so. I don't think the Peugeot Challenge certainly is not like that at all. I'd say at every single rally that you'll come to, the Peugeots will be nip and tuck the whole way through it. It's 100% everywhere. There is no such thing as a back off. Maybe, you know, if you have minutes or something, but certainly not in an event like this. Chris Meek now has taken quite a bit of time out of us. He seems to have a terrific setup. I think he has a full tarmac setup, whereas we've got a forest setup because I haven't got the tarmac kit. But he's going well for a young driver. He's going very well, and he's been taking a good ball of time out of us. So we'll see. There's I think 4 more stages to go, so still a long way to go yet.
You just have to look up there, and the sun's making it hard work. No, we're fine. We're keeping up. I say we'll be sore tonight, but I think the adrenaline's keeping us going now. So we're absolutely loving the day. Like it's superb. The competition, being in at the top end of the competition is spot on.
Oh, not too bad. Yeah, just getting a bit warm inside the car, but it's not too bad. But yeah, the rally's going good. Just had one problem where we've hit Puma knocked one of the barrels down in front of us, and we rammed it and bent the steering, so we done a lap with the steering way out. But other than that, it's going well.
Yeah, we're slowly moving up the field. Like you said, we had that bad start, and so we've just been taking our time and just still going comfortably enough, just trying not to make a mistake. You see all the cars coming back in with punctures and bits missing off the car, and it is so easy just to make a mistake. And like I said before, the key is to come away with some good points before we go into the proper events, if you like, later in the year. So yeah, if we can, we're in 3rd now. Whether we'll get any higher than that, I don't know, but you know, we're happy enough with that at the moment.
Champion's youth belies his experience. He knows better than anyone that you can't afford to relax ever on a rally stage.
We'll see how it goes. Like I say, it's only a spin away, or even an overshoot. Really, it's all so close. So we'll just keep pushing at the speed we're going, and you know, see where we end up.
But it ain't over till it's over, and on stage 8, Dave Nutt became a casualty. The overshoot was a minor problem. Further on, the transmission cried enough.
I think the bearing in the diff carrier's broke, and it's just let the diff wear itself out through the side of the gearbox, so it's dropped all the oil. I think it's happened over the last couple of stages because we dropped the pace a little bit and we didn't really know why, and I think it's just been wearing itself and dragging a bit. So yeah, not good. Game over on this one, I'm afraid.
Just traffic problems for young Chris Meek, the rally leader. But more was in store. After a storming drive, he sadly will be the next to fall by the wayside. fastest in class on stage 7, but then listen to the engine on stage 8. That missed gear change was a symptom of a problem which would get much worse.
Nice and tidy. Third, keep her in third. What about first? Maybe first? Maybe first? Go ahead, go ahead. Stay right, stay right, stay right. Hairpin right. Maybe second? Nothing. What about fourth? Nothing. Nothing at all.
No drive meant no finish, but Meek had certainly made his mark.
We had a cracking first lap. We had a problem on the stage before catching another car. And we had a cracking first lap and we actually caught him before the hairpin, so we're in front of him, we're going well. Went to pull second gear, and it just, gear lever came right back, and it was like stirring soup from then on, so we got into fifth gear, but then some of the tight hairpins we couldn't get round, and went to go for first, and no, there's just nothing there, so disappointed in one way, but we proved a point, so we're happy.
Meek certainly had, but he wasn't the only one to prove points. Daniel and Clive Dunbabin would complete the final 2 stages of the Rally of Wirral, delighted with their Peugeot debut in 10th place. And it couldn't have been by a closer margin. They'd been 9th until 2 stages out, when the storming run by Richard Sykes in car 38 made up for his misfires and delays on the opening stages. Sykes would take that 9th place by a margin of just half a second. In the number 37 car, Seamus Donnelly had proved the seeding correct, finishing 4.5 seconds ahead of Sykes in 8th place, despite not reckoning he'd driven a clean stage until the 8th of 10. Michael Bruin and Rishi Christian continued their 2000 form with a fine run to 7th, having taken the precaution of folding their door mirrors in. The expatriate Manx crew would finish the 10th and final stage 13 seconds ahead of Donnelly. And they were just 1.5 seconds behind the 6th place car of Adrian McIlvaney. McIlvaney was enjoying a self-confessed brilliant day. As well as 6th in the Peugeot Super 106 Cup, he was 17th overall, and winner of the Motorsport News Award for the best improvement on seeding, from his number 90 start position. Paul Alexander and Mike Paynes were forced to stay right on the limit until the very last stage of the day to maintain their 5-second advantage and 5th place. That's going to add 18 points to their total in the championship, so a good day's work for all concerned. And it was tight at the top, less than 20 seconds covering the top 4 runners, with the window-smashing Jennings brothers, Gary and Peter, delighted with their 4th place on their series debut. They're certainly going to be back for more. Ryan Champion and Cliff Davies will certainly be back too. The Yorkshireman, though, was miffed at losing out on 2nd place by the smallest of margins. Champion had started the final stage in that 2nd place and was on the limit all the way, but a slide on oil dropped by another car, plus a storming drive by Chris Moore, 3 seconds quicker on the final stage, meant that the Newcastle man was heading for the runners-up spot by a 0.2 of a second margin. At the head of the order, though, it was a great drive for the man from County Meath. With a 12-second advantage, Rory Gallagher was heading for victory in the first round of the season, just as he did last year. And after that slightly difficult start, as he learned the Welsh ways of new co-driver David Jones, the two appeared by the finish to be working in perfect harmony. So victory to Rory Gallagher and David Jones, but with new drivers coming along, plus the rest of the series regulars, this is going to be a cracking championship. Confirmation then of Rory Gallagher's victory ahead of Chris Moore, Ryan Champion 3rd ahead of Gary Jennings, Paul Alexander and Adrian McIlvaney.
not only down to me, but the co-driver David and all the service guy that works for us, but they all did a great job, and we did reasonably well. We didn't make that many mistakes as the day went on, but certainly Chris did give us a right good run for his money.
And Gallagher now has a 5-point advantage at the head of the championship order from Chris Moore, champion Jennings and the rest. This is a championship which will run and run. But in the meantime, Rory Gallagher and David Jones can taste the first champagne of the 2001 season.
So we've seen some great rally action, especially that in-car footage, and it never ceases to amaze me how navigators can sit so calmly in the passenger seat. Anyway, time now to let you know where you can find some racing action this coming weekend. The Power Tour visits the high-speed Castle Combe circuit in Wiltshire on June the 24th for more action from the British Formula 3 and British GT Championships. So that's all for this week. Next time we're off to Mondello Park in Ireland. And remember, it's a new circuit for everyone, so expect more action than ever. See you then.
And for the latest motorsport news and details of Channel 4's coverage, log on to 4car.co.uk. And next of all, we're at Alton Park for some engine thrashing from those TVR Tuscans with Motorsport on 4. Over on E4 right now, live coverage of Big Brother.